Hi, it's Xavier and welcome to my bonsai retreat, and it's the 7th or 8th of July right now, and do you know what this is?
It's just a plant.
No! It's a bonsai in the making. In fact, it's more than just a bonsai in the making. It's a bonsai root on the rock in the making. And in fact, better than that, it is one of the most incredible flowering variety. Yep, it's a Fuji Cherry. And in fact, do you want to see what the flowers look like? Because way back, 5th of March, on my 57th birthday, I'll have you know, I took a little bit of video of how this looked when it had just a few beautiful pink cherry blossoms on it. Should we go and have a look and see what that looked like then? Well, here it is, in its little nursery bed that's been through the winter. A few little roots coming out. Oh, I dropped it. Oh, it's still on the rock, thankfully. In fact, should we go and have a look where we can see this better? It's really a beautiful, beautiful looking tree, and I'm really feeling good about this as a Root Over Rock project. But let's just enjoy the blossoms for now. Absolutely fantastic. Probably won't want these lower ones though. Is it on the rock still, I wonder? Well, certainly last year it was, and in fact, if you check out last year's investigation of my 6 Root Over Rock projects, which include Trident Maple and also Chinese Elm, then you'll see how we got on with these. But they were all looking pretty good. Yeah, it's looking like that rock. It's firmly on there. The rock's all around here. But I'll need to clean that up and have a look. We'll get rid of all this stuff, but yeah, looking good. Now, clearly, it's continued to grow since then. What are we now? 3-4 months later, and we've got loads and loads of extensions on this, and it's a very elegant looking should we say potensai shrub at the moment. It's got some shoots here we need to sort out, but really what I've been meaning to do for nearly a month now, and I did mean to do this earlier, was sort out the fact that, as you know, I dropped it. So I've got no problem right now with taking this out and inspecting just how well the roots and the rocks are getting on, because it was done a good few years ago. In fact, if you want to see the original video when I put this together, that's up there now. That was done with a number of Trident Maples and Chinese Elm Root Over Rock projects. I've got about 6 or 7 of them on the go right now, and I think this is year 3. So it is time to expose this a bit.
But isn't that illegal?
Now, I know different people have different methods with their Root Over Rock. I'm certainly a great one for covering the entire rock on year 1, and then each successive year I try and remove a little bit more. So let's have a look at that first. It's always risky when you pull it out, because the last thing you want to see is basically all the roots have gone everywhere else apart from around the rock. But you know what? At some point you've got to bite the bullet and have a look and see, is it actually gripping the rock? Because if it's not, you've still got time to rectify it. Now, yeah, a few of you are saying, hang on, you're into the sort of mid stage of summer. Is this a bad, good, whatever time to do it? Well, ideally I could leave this all the way through until next spring, do it then, but it's not my intention to do any root pruning. So I'm really just having a bit of explore, and if I'm happy with it, I will actually reduce the level of soil, and I may even put it into my favourite and I may even then whack into this pond basket with a bit more rock showing. So, are you ready? Shall we see what happens? Is this a total disaster after 3 years? 3, 2, well, there you go. Okay, well, we haven't had an immediate disaster with everything falling away. I will carefully remove the top section, but what I am going to do before I do that is put at least half of this in the new pot and soil. So I've got my pond basket ready, and now I'm just going to very carefully we've got some nice roots here, but I'm just going to plonk it straight in. But you notice that I've left the top centimetre above the lip. So what I'm going to do now is just continue to fill up around the sides. What I've got to be careful is I don't want to inadvertently pull the roots away from the rock that it's on. But I do. I'm just digging a little bit so that there is some sort of interaction between the new soil and those external roots that are there. But basically, the stuff that was growing right at the bottom, the little white roots, I want them to be populating at the bottom and spreading and growing out. The rock and tree do appear to be together, but really now we just want to carefully pull away some of the stuff here, because we want to start seeing if we've got any roots growing around at all. I mean, there's some roots that have grown upwards. I'm not worried about them. Big thick root there. Sometimes this can be a bit anticlimactic, to be fair. What we do want to do is keep some of those wet. Some of these roots I want to feed down. There's some growing sideways, let's tuck them in under. Get rid of these weeds. Around this area here we've got some roots that are growing away from the rock. Although it's definitely got a nice firm grip on this rock here. You can see in there, rock part there and there. What I want to do is just make sure these newer ones remain attached to the rock and actually grow downwards and continue the process. So I'm just going to use some Rafia, and the good thing about using the Rafia is it rots. So after 6 months or so it will hopefully rot away, and the roots will have continued their process. No special knot, good old granny knot. This is always the difficult bit when there's only one person, no one to hold the knot as you tighten. There we go. All that is to just keep directing some of those roots downwards. With that in mind, I'm happy that's definitely attached enough that I can continue to let those grow. I'm now going to remove these suckers. Ideal for cuttings if that's what you want. We've now exposed a whole lot here. This will harden off, dry off, but in the meantime what I will do is just give that a little surrounding of sphagnum just to protect what I have uncovered. Because ideally what I need is some of those roots that were exposed that are going downwards. I still want them to grow, and if we don't protect them from drying out, they'll die at the top, which will mean they'll die down the bottom as well. So let's keep this protected that way. I could still, if I wanted, then cover that in tin foil to keep it in the dark, but I'm quite happy that so long I keep this moist, it'll hold in tight and give time for those new roots to continue to dig down and establish themselves. And I would imagine I'll keep this on right through the summer, and probably next year is when they'll come off, and then we can really see how it's looking. But root on rock, it's a very, very slow process. It's the first time I've done it with Fuji Cherry. It's nowhere near as quick a gripping rock as Trident Maple or Chinese Elm, and I'll show you an example of that in a minute. Prune back a little bit there. 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 I think for now, as the sun is now really beating down, that will do. The soil it's in has got some good organic slow release pellets in it, so that's going to continue to feed it. And the only thing I'll say, as I found with all Fuji Cherry, is going to go in a shaded part of the garden where it really doesn't get much direct sunlight. What do you reckon? I think that's a pretty decent future root on rock. It's all, I mean, hey, it takes years and years and years for these to develop properly, but you know what, once you start, and what, this is year 3, you get such a satisfaction as you see them develop. And all I say to you now for root on rock, start now if you haven't, because it's well worth it. And you know what, they become pretty valuable. Great way to invest if you want to make a little bit of money, I suppose. Anyway, let's have a look at a couple of others so you can see, say, how a Trident reacts and how a Chinese Elm reacts. This one's a Trident that put on a rock. You'll see the putting that together. The video is probably the same one as the one for the Fuji Cherry. This one's done slightly different. I've wrapped it in cling film. So we're actually going to take away that top centimetre of cling film. But you know what? First of all, we're going to get rid of the weeds and the roots so we can see what we're looking at. But even better, this was a cutting 5 years ago, so it's cost me nothing. So weeds are out, and again here, we're getting closer in a minute, you can see that's really attached to the rock. When I wiggle it about, there's no movement with the rock. So what I want to do is just lift this up probably a centimetre or so, so I've got more of the rock exposed. And again, like with the other one, the big risky bit is when you're trying to lift it out of the ground, lift it out of the pot to see how much soil stays with it. And we've got a reasonable amount there. Right, what I want to do is carefully lay that there. Just put another 1.5 centimetres in the bottom. And then just gently tease down. And what I'm slowly trying to do there, I'm sure it becomes obvious, is that bottom centimetre there now, I want the roots that have gone all the way to the bottom to continue to feed in there, and I want them to actually circle around and really dig in properly there, grow in properly there. But also giving me the opportunity now to pull away the cling film and see exactly what's been growing. A lot of the time you'll get roots that are growing back up from the inside, and you know, a lot of them you might well not need, but at this stage in the game it's also about just directing some of those that aren't weeds back down. So I'm going to keep doing that, and I'll come back to you and we'll do a close-up of me removing the cling film. That'll be exciting, surely. Okay, well you can see you've got a nice strong root there, but now I want to see just how effective it's actually been. So I'm just going to carefully, that's what I don't want to do, you end up cutting important roots. I mean, hopefully it's that main big one that we're looking to have. Say this is the first opportunity to expose this to the light, and to also remind myself just how I had that wrapped around the rock. Okay, so we've got another root there. Every now and then just double check. I mean, that is firmly on there. That is definitely firmly fixed. I'm going to continue to unwrap this and just see what we've got. So the last thing you want to do is accidentally cut an arterial root, so to speak, and have it bleed out on you. Right, well, I've removed the plastic to a certain level. You can see we've got this root around here, wrapping around here. We've also got another one here, and again, you feel it, it's definitely gripped the rock. We've got these smaller ones, fibrous ones here, but these aren't the ones I'm really bothered about per se, although I might just direct them down. Now I've still got another layer below here, but what we do now is just start removing stuff that just isn't going to be helpful. Helpful isn't gripping the rock, so to speak. I don't know whether I've got stuff here wrapping around, but I know I've got this nice big layer coming down. Here I've got this one, wraps and goes down there. I'm not going to expose everything. I'm going to let the rest of this dry, but they've got a root here. Probably want to put that into the ground. But I think with all these exploratories, you slowly do it. What you're first of all looking for is to make sure it's actually gripping, and it most certainly is. All these roots here, I just want them to die off naturally anyway, because those are connected to something further down here. That's where the energy's got to be, because you want to be pulling next year. That's going to come down even further. Just cover the surface just in a little bit of sphagnum. I want these to dry out, unlike the Fuji Cherry, where I still had some roots higher up that I really wanted to protect. I'm quite happy that the roots I really want are already growing down. So we'll just give the whole thing a spin, and it's still difficult to see where this is going. The main thing at the moment is to make sure it's on the rock. Tick, definitely got it on the rock. What we're going to do with that up there, well, that's another question. Hopefully I probably want something a bit lower down, to be fair, but that's what we've got. So do I want all this growth up here? No, really, I want to be telling the tree, can you try and give me something else? So let's just do a little bit of pruning. It's really important to think about what your tree design is like to be in the end. And if I thought about this more, this great long length, although it's going to sit on the rock nicely, design wise, yeah, could be a bit interesting, but that's for another day. All I will do then is just cut back a few places. There's not going to be any great plan on this. I'm just going to be cutting it back down and putting it somewhere in the shade. And I know, nothing much to look at up there. That will come. But it's really looking at this rock and how it's gripped it. I'm sure I'll be able to work out a tree from this somehow. So yeah, that's the Trident Maple roots on rock, and again, from a cutting it's cost me absolutely nothing. Let's have a look at the Chinese Elm, shall we? Because they definitely grow well. Now this final one we're going to look at is the Chinese Elm, and again definitely that's in that selection, and this one I've used tin foil as well over the top, so I'm going to be removing all of that and seeing how we stand, lifting it up by about 1.5 centimeters. Need to weed it first, but is it growing? Well, there's some weeds coming, right, not some weeds, there's some nice big roots, thick roots there coming out. Or is that a root for a weed? It's like dandelion. I think that's a dandelion root. So we need to get that out anyway, otherwise it's going to strangle this as a bonsai. But yeah, interesting, loads of growth on it. And again, just cutting. So here we go. Get to the foil stage. Let's pull the foil away. Have a look and see. Of course, it's so long ago, I still don't remember. I should have gone back and had a look at the video to see how I attached it. So I've got a big gap here between the rock. There's obviously the attachment points further down. Now I think what I'm going to do, it's the same thing I did before. Lift it up slightly. Get to have a look and see at the bottom. Okay, I've managed to pull it out of the pot. A lot of these white roots are weeds, but there is still going to be some of the Chinese elm roots that have come up and around. Again, I still can't see how I've attached it. I think with this one, what I might do, put it in a pond basket. I've got one prepared just here. Again, just want to dig it in a bit. See some. There's definitely a few Chinese elm roots in there. The last thing I want to be doing is growing more weeds. Okay, now the next thing to do is to just have a look and see exactly what I did do here, because I just don't remember what actually is going on with this. And what I can definitely see is I've got a root here that's wrapped right around here. There's another root, looks like lower down perhaps, I don't know. So at the moment it's definitely this one root there going down and across. Okay, so we've got this root here, that's going across there as well. Maybe that's that, in fact, maybe that, there's two roots, there's this one here, this one down here, this one across here. It's definitely gripping the rock. So I'm going to continue to clear away this. What you don't want to do is start pulling at stuff, because there's some roots that here, these are all going to dry off. But that's on solid. And the hope is that goes all the way down and is part of the root structure that's going to be down there. Very interesting here. 1, 2, 3. But you see the rock's moving with it, so it's on there with it. Gosh, that's forward gripping. It's really, really interesting. Grips all the way around there as well. So no, let's give those a spray. What I do again. It's just around this back side here, perhaps just a little bit of sphagnum there. I'm quite happy for this stuff to dry out. And I'm probably being a little bit protective actually. I really don't need this. It's really gripping well. I'm not looking to grow surface roots, I'm looking down here. But that's another interesting one. So then all I need to do is look at the tree itself. Absolutely incredible the sort of things you can do with your own roots on rock. The front is probably going to be here because you're going to want to see most of the rocks gripping. I don't think that's an appropriate way with the narrowing, although you see that part of the rock, that part of the root there, all you see is the back of the root. So potentially there's maybe there where you see the root going round, but I think I'm going front-wise there. So all I want to do is just do a little bit of light pruning. Just take it back a little bit. I'm just going to do the usual things I do with pruning, so I'm just going to basically cut everything back to a profile. Not looking at any sort of development from that at the stage. It's still what's going on there. So I'll come back to you when you've done that. Well, there it is, and I hope you're not too annoyed that you didn't get to see the pruning, but today was all about, you know, the process of revealing a year's worth of soil or whatever to establish if your root and rook has really taken. These are year 3 now, so they really should have been. To be fair, the Chinese Elm, Trident Maple clearly have taken. I'm looking at a front somewhere there, so that's what I've pruned for. We'll give it a spin in a minute. And the Fuji Cherry, it's going to look beautiful with the flowers. I have no doubt that it's gripping the rock. I'm just not ready to go another 2 centimeters deeper to see just how well and how. So let's have a spin of this first. You know, very, very impressed with how those roots, they've all gripped. Chinese Elm in particular grip onto rock really easily. Interesting gap here. I think that is going to look quite nice actually as a tree. And then we've got the roots that come around the back. That's an interesting angle, I think. To be fair, we only get to see part of the roots there, but quite an interesting take for the tree itself. Yeah, really, really interesting. It's a bit like right at the cliff face it's grabbed on. So there you go, that's the Chinese Elm. So overall, that's a big, big success. And if you really like this this continuation of the Roots on Rock series, and remember, go right back to the beginning of the playlist. You see them when I first started them. All of this is from cuttings, and I'm just absolutely stoked with how it's working out. It's going to get better each year. If you've liked it, obviously massive thumbs up please, and definitely I think loads of people would like to know about this. YouTube isn't pushing me out to people, so I need you to do it. So any of those forums or anything to do with bonsai, please ask you for this particular video, have a big go at sharing it. The more people who share, in fact, let me know in the comments that you've shared it. Don't need to tell me where to, but that you have. And who knows, maybe you may be part of my journey to bigger and better things on YouTube.
A mental asylum.
But this has been a fantastic episode, and I'd hate to think that someone would miss out who may benefit. Anyway, I've loved it, hope you have. But otherwise, just enjoy your bonsai, enjoy your cuttings, find some rocks. That's what you can do in summer when you're on holiday. because then you can have some fun next spring. And again, if you want a reminder of how you do it, well, have a look in the description. There'll be a whole load of links to Root on Rock stuff. Apart from that, happy bonsai and God bless. Cheers.